Coming up on Vegas Nation Blitz, a big win on one of the biggest stages.
On a short week to be able to, get a win like that helps us going forward.
The Raiders snapped their 3-game losing streak.
And really excited for the men in there and the way in which they played throughout the entire game. So it's good to get a win.
We'll recap the Raiders' win over the Cowboys and so much more right now on Vegas Nation Blitz.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
Cassie Soto here with you for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Blitz, where we bring you all of your Raiders fast takes and smart coverage. Let's be honest, the Raiders were desperate for a win heading into Dallas on Thanksgiving, and not only did they secure the dub, they did so in a very thrilling fashion, a 36-33 overtime victory over the Cowboys. Quarterback Derek Carr throwing for 373 yards and running for another 21. The Raiders improved to 6-5 on the season. For more on this win, let's go ahead and get to our top stories brought to you by Capriotti's. There's no better time than game time to score party favorites. Order online to get Capriotti's party trays, box lunches, or large subs for the whole crew. Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore joining me now. Vinny, you were in Dallas for this one, and you got to see this win firsthand. So I ask, is this one of the better performances, one of the more well-rounded performances you've seen from the Raiders in a while?
Yeah, and it actually kind of, reminds me of what they did against the Denver Broncos and the Philadelphia Eagles leading up to the bye week. Things changed from the bye week to their first game back against the New York Giants. Obviously, losing Henry Ruggs took away a big piece of that puzzle, and I think they've been just trying to regroup ever since. And you got a sense of what Deshaun Jackson, an acclimated and engaged and tapped into Deshaun Jackson means to this offense. His ability to stretch the field. Hit a couple of big ones, draw some penalties, open things up for the run game, and open things up for Hunter Renfrow, for Bryan Edwards, Zay Jones. So that's the formula that the Raiders need to get back to. That and also playing good complementary football. The defense, was fresh at the end of the game when they needed to be in overtime to get the key 3 and out. Special teams showed up. Yes, there were a lot of penalties, but that just seemed to be on the officials that particular day. But they were, for the most part, pretty clean and efficient, and that's the formula that the Raiders need to get back to and have for these next 6 games.
Yeah, and you mentioned Deshaun Jackson, and I just want to hit on that one more time. 3 receptions, 102 yards, and scoring the opening touchdown for the Silver and Black to get things going on Thanksgiving Day. Is this sort of the performance that the Raiders expect from him now moving forward, now that he is seeming to find his footing in this offense?
Yeah, and don't forget the 3 pass interference penalties he caused, all on third downs that I believe eventually led to points. So his impact was real. And yes, that's what they're looking for from Deshaun Jackson. It's kind of what they were getting from Henry Ruggs prior to all of that. And as we saw, it opens everything up for the Raiders. Once Derek Carr gets aggressive, has confidence, as he did on Thursday, on throwing long to not just Deshaun Jackson, but he hit a big one with Hunter Renfrow, and Zay Jones drew a pass interference. That's when the Raiders are at the best. It complements everything from the run game to the throwing game. And it also moves the chains, and that keeps the defense fresher. So that's what they're going to want and really need from Deshaun Jackson. It might not always show up with 3 catches for 100 and some odd yards, but if he's stretching the field, if his presence, which it always does, affects how other teams defend the Raiders, it just opens things up for them.
The Raiders came into this one on a 3-game losing streak, and I feel like they really needed this win to sort of just shift the momentum, to make them feel and believe in themselves that they still had it. They still have what it takes to make a playoff push. Could you say the same thing? Yeah,
no question. And I really believe, watching from the press box when Derek Carr and Deshaun hooked up on that 54 or whatever it was, 50-yard touchdown, it almost felt like a burden was lifted. I really felt like for those prior 3 games, the Raiders were playing with a burden, it felt like, almost sort of pressure after everything that had gone down, especially, so soon after the Henry Ruggs incident. And whether that was the cause for how they kept shooting themselves in the foot with silly penalties, jumping off sides on defense, penalties offensively in short yardage situations, jumping off sides on offensive linemen. It felt like there was a lot of pressure that the Raiders are playing under. And I think once that touchdown happened, remember looking over to the sidelines, and there was just smiles up and down that sideline. And it felt like at that point, a lot of the pressure was lifted, and they sure played like that the rest of the game.
Around the League, brought to you by Pirate Plumbing, the masters of disasters. Hey everyone, it's Heidi Fang here, and I'm joined with our NFL and Raiders writer, Adam Hill. We're going to break down what's happening here in the AFC, particularly where playoffs are concerned and standings as well. Adam, the AFC West picture right now, pretty interesting with the Chiefs on top and then a three-way tie.
Yeah, certainly in the division, you've got all those teams kind of bunched up. It's theoretically possible at the end of next week, all four teams could be tied if the Chiefs somehow lose to the Broncos. I don't see that happening. Obviously, the Chiefs being a 10-point favorite in that game, but you would expect to see a little bit of separation for the Chiefs, and then those other three teams kind of fighting it out for who can squeeze into the wild card picture. Right now, Chargers, through a series of convoluted tiebreakers, are on top of that. But certainly there is those chances for the Raiders and the Broncos and other teams around the AFC. The Colts, they play the Raiders in a couple weeks. The Bengals just played the Raiders. Like, all these teams are kind of fighting it out, and you're going to see a lot of matchups between them. You would expect a little separation by the end of the year, but very possible a lot of these tiebreakers come into play as well.
How do you see this playing out for teams in the AFC West right now? If we're to look at down the road, the stretch, the schedule and all of that.
Yeah, right now you look at a team like the Raiders, who are at a 19% chance of making the playoffs according to 538. They're the ones that crunch the numbers every single day. But a lot of that just has to do with who they play, right? So the Raiders, if they win their games, if they take care of their business, they're going to be right there. In fact, I just ran the simulation. If they play these next two games against Washington and then against the Chiefs on the road, and they win both those two games, all of a sudden their chances are at 60%. If they go 1-1 in those two games, they're down around the 15 to 20% mark. But really, all the Raiders can do is win, and that goes the same way for all the other teams in that wild card picture. Just win your games, let everything else sort itself out.
There you have it from Adam Hill. I'm Heidi Fang. That's this week's Around the League.
Vegas Nation Injury Brief, sponsored by Knockfee Injury Law.
Sam Gordon here back again on behalf of Vegas Nation with this week's midweek injury brief. Darren Waller considered week to week with an IT band injury. He did not practice on Wednesday. Neither did Carl Nassib, who's also dealing with a knee injury. Unlikely that we'll see either one of those guys on Sunday, although you never know. That's why you come to VegasNation.com for all the updates. Long snapper Trent Sieg on COVID list, and as a result, the Raiders have added long snapper Carson Tinker. Please check out VegasNation.com for injury updates and developments throughout the course of the week. We have you covered on written stuff, podcasts, videos, all the above, and there will be more updates as the game against the Washington football team broaches. I'm Sam Gordon. That is this week's Injury Brief.
D&R House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
Mic check.
It's a competitive league. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be close games, back and forth all the time. So, I just know our team, I think it speaks a lot to our character, to come on a short week after, facing quite a bit of adversity the last few months, few weeks. And, to play a game like we did, winning it overtime, that's a big testament to our team's character.
I mean, every win feels amazing. Just winning the way we did in overtime and with sniper Daniel Carson hitting that field goal, it gives us life, man. We trying to keep it going.
Now let's go ahead and check in on some Raiders social media. It was a huge win on Thanksgiving for the Raiders, but are you really a fan of the silver and black if you did not do your holiday shopping just like this? Akbar Bajabiamila going all in, rocking his former team's gear to get his holiday feast. I'm hoping to see fans show up like this at the grocery stores as the winter holidays approach. Speaking of the Thanksgiving win, Pixel NFL coming through with the edit of Daniel Carlson and Derek Carr in pixel form after the big win. Look at the details, DC being interviewed and Carlson with the celebratory turkey leg. And now here's the real version. Carlson not letting that early week food poisoning stop him from enjoying his reward for the clutch OT kick.
Vegas Nation, the road ahead, sponsored by your Southern Nevada Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Cassie Soto back with you here, and I am joined by Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, before the Raiders took the big stage on Thanksgiving Day, you said that they needed to play like their season depended on it. Did they do enough versus the Cowboys to save that season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously by winning in overtime, you'd say they did. I do think they played with a little desperation there because had they lost that game, boy, it would have been really tough to make a playoff run. Now it's 6-5, game out of the lead in the West with Kansas City. I think they did enough for the next week. You and I will be there on Sunday against Washington football team. They win that, they've really done enough. They lose that, we'll be back in, oh no, oh woe is them. So it's a week-to-week league. It's a week-to-week result. So for now, they've done enough to stay in the hunt. Yeah, and Washington is coming into Allegiant Stadium on a 3-game winning streak after watching them on Monday Night Football. What sort of challenges will they pose for the Raiders on Sunday? You know, Washington coming into the season was thought to have one of the better defenses in the league. They haven't had that. They're actually 29th and 30 in a lot of categories, but they're getting better. The last 3 weeks, they've really had some juice against the run. I think Josh Jacobs is going to probably find it hard to run against these guys. Going to need another big game from Derek Carr. Listen to this number. I think you know it. Every time Derek Carr passes for over 300 yards this season, they are 6-0. They're averaging 30-plus points. When he doesn't, they're 0-5. So the Raiders are going to have to find some holes in that pass defense from the Redskins. And if they do, and he can get that 300 range, I think they have a really good chance of winning and being 7-5. What's the stat when Derek Carr runs for over 20 yards? Do we know that one? This is the funny part. You're not going to believe this. He had the fastest run by miles per hour last week of any Raider, which is probably the 8th miracle of this world, because there's just no chance anyone would have believed that he could run. I think it was 21 or 22 miles per hour. That's kind of in your range and my range, but for whatever reason, it was the fastest for the Raiders. So once he runs that fast and he gains 22 yards, they're 1-0. Excellent stat there, Ed. That's why we keep you around. We love that stuff. Thank you. There's no other reason to do that. Thank you so much, Ed. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. For more Raiders news, head on over to vegasnation.com. And we hope, as always, you will join us on Friday for Vegas Nation Game Day as we help you get ready for the Raiders home matchup versus the Washington football team. For our entire Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you soon. Join the action with the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Pro Football Contest. Predict each week's winning team for a chance to win a $25 gift card from presenting sponsor Capriotti's or a $30 gift card from Big Dogs Brewing Company. Sign up today at lvrj.com/pro football.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.